Welcome to the precinct here in Sac State in the Hornet newsroom. I am Lieutenant Gwynn here with my associate, Detective Todd Wilson, and we're going to do a rendition of Good Cop, Bad Cop. So what's in the news right now? What do you want to start with?
Well, first we have Fidel Castro asking President Obama to give back Guantanamo.
And what's his rationale for this? Why do we have to give that old man an inch?
Well, it is breaking international law to be occupying territory in a sovereign nation.
Cuba's hardly sovereign, though. I mean, it fits the definition of sovereign, yes. But, what does it really contribute to anyone? What do we need Cuba for? What gives them the political clout to demand this?
People need to decide for themselves. It's its own nation. It's got its own leaders. We have no business having a base there. I mean, are hordes of Cubans going to become storming into Florida with their AK-47s to take over the United States? I mean, what's the purpose of us having a base there?
Well, we just say that we get what we want. That's the point of it. If Fidel Castro really wants it that badly, is he even running things, or is it Raul who's asking for this? Fidel's asking for it, right?
Fidel is asking for it.
So he's bedridden in his jumpsuit asking for this. If he wants to go on YouTube and drink from his bedpan for 30 straight seconds, I will give him back Guantanamo. But until then, I don't see the need for it. Next topic.
Our next case is Barry Bonds.
Barry Lamar Bonds, okay. And his judge, from my understanding, is talking about not administering into evidence the grand jury testimony that was just unsealed on Wednesday that has the 5 failed steroids tests, as well as testimony from Greg Anderson, or recording from Greg Anderson.
Well, there's no direct link, that these are actually his urine tests. And that seems to be her argument, that unless someone can come up there and provide testimony saying that these are actually his steroids tests.
And they're not going to get that. They have a bunch of circumstantial evidence. No one from Balco, from Victor Conte, all the way down to Greg Anderson is going to testify against Bonds. So all this is a big waste of our time and money.
Well, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Lieutenant, but I do think you should put the syringes back in the evidence locker.
Absolutely not. We have more important things to worry about in this country than steroids and baseball. Wouldn't you agree?
Well,
when you have Bernard Madoff living in his luxury New York apartment still, and he robbed $50 billion from Holocaust victims and charities, and we're worrying about a guy head getting bigger and hitting home runs.
Well, he's supposed to be a role model for our children.
Sports are not the sanction of role models, but politicians, parents are supposed to be role models. Parents more than anything. Who are the role models for your kids? You, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my kid has a Barry Bonds statue, and how do I tell him?
He's a good kid then, all right. He's been raised well.
How am I supposed to tell him that, hey, he's a good guy, he's the greatest baseball player ever, when he's tainted by this scandal?
Yeah, because it's a game of, you have to take everything for the context of when it's played in. If he was the only person doing it, which they make it seem look like, then I'd agree with you. But the fact of the matter is, it was rampant, and Bud Steele's as much to blame as anybody. Next topic. What's on the docket?
Our last one is Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, Michael Steele, being elected the first black chair of the Republican National Committee.
Too little too late, right?
Well, I would say that no, the Republican Party has been making an effort. I mean, we
Well,
saw...
it's sheer tokenism on this part. The country elected a black president, so now this is a reactionary move to put up in what is effectively the highest position in the Republican Party right now, the one who's calling the shots, to draw any voters away and draw any of those parallels.
Would you call Colin Powell our first black Secretary of State, or Condoleezza Rice, first black female Secretary of State, right in succession? Would you call that tokenism?
No, it's just the sheer timing of this that makes it look like tokenism. Whether it is or not is irrelevant. It's just what it looks like.
So do you think maybe they should have gone for some other ethnic group? I mean, I would have maybe preferred to see Bobby Jindal.
I mean, it always comes down to who is the most qualified in the position. But if you want to talk on race lines or ethnicity lines, you have Hispanics and Asians as two very wide demographics of untapped voters that haven't been picked out yet, that have no sort of voice or anyone to lead them.
I think it's an issue. I think we're going to be seeing change in the Republican Party when we see a log cabin Republican take over.
Who lives in log cabins anymore? I played with Lincoln logs when I was a kid, but that's about it.
Well, Lincoln lived in a log cabin.
That's right. Well, that's where it got the name from.
And supposedly may have been a log cabin Republican.
That's the idea. But, all this is talk. I'm tired of sitting in this little room. We need to go out, hit the streets, and have some action. I don't know about you, but I could really go for shooting some unarmed black kid in the spine right now.
Don't make me turn in my badge, Lieutenant.
You'll do as you're told.